My child, you're standing in front of something that feels impossible, aren't you? The mountain looks too high, the storm too strong, and the silence too long. You've prayed, you've cried, and you've wondered, Lord, how will I ever make it through this? But listen, I handle the impossible. When you reach your limit, that's when my power begins. I'm the one who parts seas, calms storms, and brings light into darkness. What you call impossible, I call already done. So don't give up, my child. Keep trusting me when nothing makes sense. Because soon you'll see what felt impossible was simply the setup for your greatest miracle. My child, I see you. Yes, you. The one holding it together when no one else knows you're falling apart inside. You smile, you show up, you keep going, but deep down you're tired. Tired of fighting battles that never seem to end. Tired of praying for answers that don't seem to come. Tired of pretending you're okay when your soul feels heavy. You've whispered into the night, God, do you even see me? Do you hear me? Have you forgotten about me? And my answer is this. I see you, I hear you, and I have never left you, not even for a moment. When you cry in silence, I am there beside you. When your chest tightens with anxiety, I am wrapping my arms around you, even if you can't feel it. When you stare at the ceiling wondering how things got this hard, I am whispering softly, I'm still here. You see, my child, your pain hasn't gone unnoticed. Every tear that has fallen from your eyes has landed on my hands. Every sleepless night, every heartbreak, every time you said, I can't do this anymore, I was there listening, comforting, waiting for you to lean fully on me, because I never created you to handle life alone. You were made to walk with me. You were designed to draw strength from my presence, peace from my promises, and hope from my word. There are moments when you think everything is falling apart, when the weight of bills, relationships, health, or loss feels unbearable. You tell yourself, it's impossible. There's no way out of this. But I want you to hear me clearly today. I handle the impossible. You see walls. I see breakthroughs. You see emptiness. I see opportunity. You see the end. I see a new beginning. When you face a situation that looks hopeless, remember, that's where my glory shines the brightest. Let me take you back for a moment. Think about the Red Sea. My people stood trapped between the water and the army that chased them. They thought it was over. They thought they were done. But that's when I stepped in. I didn't need a bridge. I didn't need logic. I didn't need man's approval. I simply spoke to the water, and it moved. Because when I move, nature obeys. When I speak, creation responds. When I act, even the impossible bows down. And that same power, the power that parted seas, raised the dead, healed the blind, and calmed the storm, still lives today, still moves today, still fights for you today. My child, I know how hard it's been. You've tried everything, worked harder, prayed longer, hoped stronger, and still it feels like nothing changes. But here's what I want you to understand. Sometimes I allow the impossible so that you will finally realize that I am the God of miracles. You see, if everything was easy, you'd forget how much you need me. You'd think strength comes from your effort, not from my grace. But when you reach that place where your hands are empty, your strength is gone, and your hope feels faint, that's where I begin to work. When you can't, I can. When you're weak, I'm strong. When you're lost, I'm the way. When you're drowning, I am the hand that pulls you out. Do you remember the story of Mary and Martha? Their brother Lazarus died. They called for Jesus days earlier, but I didn't come right away. I could have healed him before he died, but I waited until it was impossible, because I wanted them to see something greater than healing. I wanted them to see resurrection. So when you look at your situation and say, it's too late, know this, I am never late. I move with purpose, not panic. I delay not to deny you, but to deliver you at the perfect moment, when it brings glory, when it strengthens your faith, when it shows others that I still do the impossible. My child, the world tells you to stay strong, but I say to you, be still. Because true strength isn't found in striving, it's found in surrender. When you stop trying to control everything, you make space for me to move. You've been asking for miracles, but holding on too tight to fear. You've been praying for breakthroughs, but doubting my timing. Let go. Release it to me. I can't fill hands that are already full of worry. Trust me enough to rest. Trust me enough to wait. Trust me enough to believe that even when you see nothing happening, I'm working behind the curtain, orchestrating every detail for your good. You think I've forgotten the promises I made to you? Never. Every word I've spoken over your life still stands. Heaven and earth may pass away, but my word will never fail. Matthew 24, verse 35. Maybe you lost things you thought you needed, relationships, opportunities, plans. But sometimes I remove what you think you want to give you what you truly need. I know the full picture. I see what's ahead. You only see one piece, but I see the masterpiece. So when I close one door, it's not rejection, it's redirection. When something leaves your life, it's not always loss, it's alignment. I am positioning you for something far greater than you imagined. I know the nights have been long and your heart feels tired, but I'm telling you now, hold on just a little longer, because what's coming will make sense of everything you've endured. The pain, the waiting, the confusion, all of it has purpose. I haven't forgotten your name. I haven't ignored your prayers. Every sigh, every whisper, every tear, I've collected them, and soon you will see why you had to go through this valley. You'll look back and say, if I hadn't been broken there, I wouldn't have found God here. So lift your head, my child. Wipe those tears, because the one who created the stars, who commands the seas, who raised the dead, is standing beside you right now. And I am whispering to your heart, you don't have to handle it all, because I handle the impossible. Bible promise, I am the Lord, the God of all mankind. Is anything too hard for me? My child, you've come to the edge of your strength and whispered, Lord, I've done everything I can. And you're right. You have. You've tried to fix it, reason it, force it, and make it make sense. But now, you've reached a place where human effort ends, and that's where divine power begins. You've seen failure and called it final, but I see it as a fertile ground where miracles grow. You've stared at closed doors and felt forgotten, but I see you standing in front of the threshold of breakthrough. You've said, I can't do this anymore, and I whispered back, you don't have to. Because, my child, you were never meant to carry this battle alone. The same hands that formed the mountains are ready to hold you now. The same voice that spoke the universe into existence is still speaking into your chaos. I am not a distant God. I am the God in your storm, with you, for you, fighting beside you. When you read my word, you'll see this truth again and again. I move most powerfully in the impossible. Let me remind you, when the Israelites were trapped between the Red Sea and the Egyptian army, fear screamed, there's no way out. But I said, watch this. With one breath of my power, I split the waters. The sea that once terrified them became the very path that led them to freedom. When Daniel stood before lions, the world said, this is the end. But I closed their mouths. When David faced Goliath, men saw a giant. But I saw an opportunity for a boy with faith to show that no enemy is greater than the God who stands behind him. When the widow poured out her last drop of oil, she thought it was over, but I multiplied her little into abundance. When the disciples feared the storm, thinking their boat would sink, I rose from sleep and spoke 3 words, peace, be still. And even the wind obeyed. When Lazarus lay in a tomb, for days gone, wrapped in death, all hope buried with him, I didn't panic. I didn't rush. I simply called his name, and what was dead came back to life. That's who I am. I am the God who turns graves into gardens, storms into silence, and despair into deliverance. And yet, my child, I see you. You've been fighting a battle that is invisible to others, the kind that doesn't show on your face but rages in your heart. You pray and you wait, but nothing seems to shift. You've wondered, God, are you really working? Listen closely. Just because you don't see me moving doesn't mean I'm not. The greatest miracles often happen quietly, beneath the surface, unseen. Think about a seed. Before it grows, it's buried, hidden. It seems like nothing's happening. But deep under the soil, life is forming. Roots are spreading. Growth is happening in secret. That's what I'm doing in your life right now. You may not see it, but I'm planting strength where there was weakness. I'm deepening your faith where there was fear. I'm preparing you for blessings that require maturity to carry. You see a delay. I see development. You see silence. I see setup. You see nothing happening. I see everything aligning. You've looked at your situation and said, it's too hard. But tell me, what is too hard for the one who holds a universe in his hand? Didn't I speak light into darkness? Didn't I form man from dust? Didn't I stop the sun for Joshua, make iron float, and feed 5,000 with a few loaves and fish? I am not limited by circumstance, logic, or impossibility. If I can command galaxies into motion, do you think I can't handle your problem? So why fear? Why worry about what you can't control when the creator of all things calls you his own? You mistaken my patience for absence. But I've been here all along, working in ways you wouldn't believe even if I told you. My child, the reason you feel empty right now is not because you failed. It's because I'm creating space in your life for me. You keep asking for power, but power doesn't come when you're full of self. Power comes when you're surrendered. You say, Lord, fix my situation, but I'm saying, let me fix your heart. Because before I change what's around you, I first want to change what's within you. It's not punishment, it's preparation. Before I lifted Joseph to the palace, I took him through the prison. Before I placed David on the throne, I taught him to trust me in caves. Before I sent my son to cross, I led him through the wilderness. So when you find yourself in a place that feels too heavy, too lonely, too impossible, don't give up. You're being positioned for a purpose. When the world says you're finished, I say, I've only begun. When others walk away, I step closer. When the odds are against you, remember, I am for you. And if I am for you, who can stand against you? Romans 8 verse 31. The same power that raised Jesus from the dead lives inside of you. Romans 8 verse 11. Do you realize what that means? It means you are never truly powerless. You carry resurrection power in your spirit. You carry divine authority through faith. You can speak life where there was death. You can declare peace in the midst of storms. You can walk in victory even when the battle looks impossible, because the one who conquered the grave walks beside you. So, my beloved child, lift your eyes. Don't look at the size of your mountain. Look at the size of your God. I've done the impossible before, and I'll do it again. The story isn't over. The enemy hasn't won. The very thing meant to break, you will become the platform that displays my glory. Just hold on. Keep believing. Keep trusting. Because soon, the same mouth that cried, "Why, God?" will shout, "Thank you, God." The storm will pass. The sea will part. The promise will come to life. And when it does, you'll know it wasn't luck. It wasn't coincidence. It was me. Scripture reminder. For with God, nothing shall be impossible. My child, I know the waiting feels endless. I know you prayed and prayed, and yet the silence grows louder. You've watched others receive their breakthroughs, their blessings, their answered prayers, and you've wondered, Lord, when will it be my turn? You see, I hear every word that leaves your lips, and I feel every ache that lives in your heart. Every time you've looked to heaven and whispered, why the delay? I was listening. And today, I want you to understand something sacred. The waiting is not a punishment. It's preparation. You're not being forgotten. You're being formed. You're not being delayed. You're being developed. You're not stuck. You're being strengthened. Because sometimes, my child, I hold back what you're praying for, not to deny you, but to prepare you to carry it. Do you remember Joseph, the boy with the dream? He saw greatness in his spirit long before the world saw it in him. I gave him a vision, a glimpse of the future, but then I allowed him to walk through betrayal, slavery, and prison. Why? Because the promise was too heavy for the boy he was, but perfectly fit for the man he became. So I allowed him to be misunderstood, mistreated, and overlooked, not to break him, but to build him. The prison wasn't punishment. It was a classroom. The waiting was where he learned patience, faith, and humility, the very qualities he would need when I placed him in the palace. My child, when you feel like your life is on pause, remember Joseph. What looks like a delay is often a divine process. I know the silence hurts. You wonder why I'm not answering, why I seem so still. But understand this, my silence is never absence. Sometimes I'm quiet because I'm working in ways you can't yet comprehend. Imagine this. When a teacher gives a test, they don't talk. They've already given the instruction. Now they're watching to see what the student will do with what they've already learned. That's where you are, my child. You've prayed, you've studied my word, you've trusted me, and now you're in the testing silence. But I haven't left you. I'm simply allowing your faith to grow stronger roots. When you rush ahead of my timing, you settle for something smaller than what I intended. You ask for an open door, but I'm building a whole hallway. You pray for a single blessing, but I'm preparing an entire overflow. The waiting is a space where I align everything, people, places, and purpose. You think nothing's happening, but heaven is busy on your behalf. Angels are being assigned. Opportunities are being shaped. Hearts are being moved. Even the delays you hate are working together for your good. Romans 8 verse 28. You've said, Lord, I can't wait any longer. But my child, you can and you must, because what I am building within you during this season is more precious than what you're asking me for. Faith isn't proved when you receive quickly. Faith is proved when you keep believing even when everything stays still. You don't need to see evidence to trust me, just my character. You don't need to know how or when, just who. And that who is me, your heavenly Father who has never failed, never broken a promise, never left a child behind. There's something beautiful about waiting when you see it through heaven's eyes. Think about the seed again, buried deep in the soil, hidden from sight. For weeks, it looks lifeless. But beneath the surface, it's growing stronger roots, preparing to burst forth. If you dig it up too soon, you destroy its growth. But if you let it stay in the dark just a little longer, it becomes unstoppable. You, my child, are that seed. You've been buried, not forgotten. Hidden, not lost. You're growing where no one can see. And when the time is right, you'll bloom. Remember Abraham. I promised him a son. But the years passed, and still there was no child. His faith was tested by time. Yet through waiting, he discovered something profound, that my promises don't expire. What I promise, I perform, even if it takes longer than you expected. For I am not bound by human clocks or calendars. I am eternal. And when I say I will do something, it's not a maybe, it's a matter of time. So don't let the ticking clock make you doubt. Don't let delay make you lose hope. My timing is not late. It's perfect. You ask, Lord, how much longer? And I whisper until the work is finished. Because if I gave you what you wanted right now, it might destroy you. Blessings given before their time can become burdens. But when you're ready, that same blessing becomes your testimony. So I'm not denying you, I'm protecting you. I'm preparing the blessing for you, and I'm preparing you for the blessing. You can't rush divine timing. Every second of waiting is soaked in purpose. Every delay has a design. My beloved child, you don't need to understand the why. You just need to trust the who. I am your Father. I'm not making you wait to see you suffer. I'm making you wait so you'll learn to see me, not just my gifts, not just my miracles, me. Because the waiting room is where love deepens, where faith matures, where your heart learns to rest in me even when nothing around you makes sense. And when the time is right, when your faith is ripened and your soul is ready, you'll see the door open, the prayer answered, the miracle unfold. And you'll realize something beautiful. The wait was worth it. My child, you're not late. You're right on my schedule. Don't compare your timeline to others. Their story isn't yours. The promise I gave you still stands, and the delay you're living in is part of the destiny I'm shaping. So keep your eyes on me. Keep your heart steady. And keep walking. Even if it's slow, even if it's quiet, even if you can't see the finish line yet. Because in your waiting, I am working. In your patience, I am perfecting. And when it's time, you'll see that every moment of silence was a setup for the sound of victory. Those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. My child, I see the cracks in your heart, the places that still ache when no one is watching. You've tried to cover the pain, to smile through it, to keep moving forward. But inside, you still feel the sting of betrayal, the weight of disappointment, the ache of loss. You whisper, God, why did you let this happen? Why this heartbreak? Why this pain? And I whisper back, because even in your brokenness, I am working something beautiful. You see, my child, what looks like destruction is often the beginning of transformation. What feels like the end of your story is simply the start of a new chapter, one where my grace shines brighter than your wounds. Pain has a voice. It cries out questions you don't have answers to. It screams in the dark when no one else can hear. But know this, your pain has purpose. Every tear that fell, every piece of your heart that shattered, I've seen it all. Not one drop has been wasted. You may not understand it now, but I am using even this, yes, this, to build something eternal inside you. Brokenness is not the end of you. It's the place where my strength begins. When you are weak, then I am strong. 2 Corinthians 12 verses 9 to 10. Do you remember the potter and the clay? The clay doesn't decide how it will be shaped. The potter does. And sometimes when the pot cracks or breaks, the potter doesn't throw it away. He gathers the pieces, wets them again, and remolds them with care because he sees potential in what others might call ruined. That's what I'm doing in your life. You thought being broken disqualified you, but it's actually what qualifies you for my greatest work. Because it's through brokenness that you become moldable. It's through pain that you learn compassion. It's through loss that you learn to value what truly matters. Your scars are not signs of defeat. They're proof that you survived. They tell a story of my mercy, my healing, my power. You see, when everything's perfect, people don't see me. But when you rise from ashes, when you stand again after falling, when you forgive after being wounded, that's when the world sees my glory through you. I never promised you a life without pain, but I did promise that I would use your pain for something greater. Even my son, Jesus, the one who knew no sin, was broken so that healing could flow through his wounds. Isaiah 53 verse 5. So if he, the perfect one, was broken to bring redemption, don't think your brokenness is meaningless. There's purpose in the crushing. There's glory in the breaking. My child, you often look at the shattered pieces of your life and think, this can never be put back together. But I am the master restorer. I don't just glue things back the way they were. I make them new. In Japan, there's a form of art called kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold, turning the cracks into something precious and beautiful. That's what I do with you. I fill your cracks with my presence, my love, my spirit, and what was once broken becomes more valuable than before. I'm not trying to make you the person you were before the pain. I'm transforming you into someone you've never been. Do you remember Job? He lost everything, family, health, possessions. The world thought he was finished. But even in his suffering, he said, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Job 13, verse 15. And when it was over, I restored him double the blessing, double the strength, double the faith. Because every time you lose something in faith, I'm preparing to return something greater. So don't let bitterness take root in your pain. Don't let your heart harden in disappointment. Because the pain that was meant to break you can become the very thing that awakens your calling. My beloved child, I've seen the nights you couldn't sleep, the days you want to give up, the moments you questioned if you'd ever feel whole again. But even then I was there. When you cried, I collected your tears. Psalm 56 verse 8. When you felt lost, I guided your steps. When you thought it was over, I whispered, it's not. The cracks in your heart are not evidence of failure. They're openings for my light to shine through. Because people who have never been broken don't understand grace like you do. They don't see the world with compassion like you do. They don't recognize miracles like you do. Your pain gave you perspective. It softened your spirit and taught you what true strength looks like, not perfection, but persistence through faith. And one day, my child, you will tell your story, and someone else who's drowning in despair will find hope through your healing. Your pain will become your ministry. Your scars will become your testimony. You will say, I thought I was finished, but God rebuilt me. I know you don't see it now, but I'm weaving the broken threads into something breathtaking. The very thing that wounded you will become the thing that shines brightest for my glory. Don't hide your pain from me. Don't pretend you're strong when you're crumbling inside. Bring your broken pieces to my altar. I can do more with your surrender than you can do with your strength. I don't need perfection. I want your honesty. I don't ask for spotless faith. I ask for willing hearts. Come as you are. I can handle your tears, your anger, your confusion, all of it, because I am not afraid of your brokenness. I will hold you through it, heal you through it, and then I will use it to reach others who feel just like you once did. So don't give up. The pain won't last forever. You are not your mistakes, not your failures, not your heartbreak. You are mine, and I make all things new, not some, not most, all. Revelation 21 verse 5. Every wound will heal. Every scar will tell a story. Every tear will one day make sense. For what was meant for evil, I will turn for good. Trust me, my child, your brokenness is not the end. It's the beginning of beauty. Bible verse reminder. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. My child, why do you fear what I've already conquered? Why do you tremble before storms I've already silenced with a single word? You look at the waves, the wind, the chaos around you, and fear grips your heart. But I ask you, where is your faith? You see, fear shouts loudly, but faith whispers truth. Fear shows you the size of the mountain, but faith reminds you of the power of the one who made the mountain. Fear focuses on the problem, but faith focuses on the promise keeper. I never called you to live in fear. I called you to walk by faith, even when the path looks uncertain, even when the future feels impossible. Do you remember when my son, Jesus, walked on water? The night was dark, the sea was raging, and the disciples were terrified. They thought they were alone, but he came to them in the very thing they feared most, the storm. And when Peter saw him, he said, "Lord, if it's really you, tell me to come." Jesus said just one word, "Come." Peter stepped out. For a moment, faith carried him above the waves. But when he looked at the storm instead of Savior, he began to sink. And yet, before fear could swallow him, Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. That's what I do for you, my child. Even when you lose sight of me, I never lose sight of you. Even when your faith wavers, my grace does not. Even when you fall, I reach out and lift you again. Fear is not your master. I am. Fear is not your destiny. Faith is. Fear will tell you, you can't do it. Faith will whisper, with God, all things are possible. Matthew 19, verse 26. Fear will make you look at the walls of Jericho and see impossibility. Faith will make you march around them, believing they will fall. Fear will tell you, the Red Sea is too wide. Faith will tell you, stretch your staff, I'll make a way. Fear will remind you of your weakness. Faith will remind you of my strength. Because you were never meant to fight your battles alone. You were never meant to carry that fear, that anxiety, that uncertainty on your own shoulders. I said, cast all your cares upon me, because I care for you. 1 Peter 5, verse 7. My beloved, fear is not just an emotion, it's a shadow. It feeds on what you focus on. The more you stare at the darkness, the larger it grows. But the moment you turn your eyes back to me, light floods in and shadows disappear. That's why I tell you, fix your eyes on Jesus, the author and finisher of your faith. Hebrews 12, verse 2. When your eyes are on me, fear cannot stay. Faith doesn't always remove the storm, but it gives you peace in the middle of it. Faith doesn't promise easy paths, but it promises my presence on the journey. Faith doesn't always give you answers, but it gives you assurance that I am with you, and that's enough. You see, my child, fear often disguises itself as logic. It says, be realistic, but I am not limited by reality. I am the creator of it. I spoke galaxies into existence. I breathed life into dust. What seems impossible to you is nothing to me. Faith doesn't deny the facts. It simply believes that my truth is greater than them. When I told Abraham he'd be the father of nations, he was nearly 100 years old. The facts said impossible, but faith said God can. When David stood before Goliath, everyone else saw a giant. Faith saw an opportunity for my glory. When Daniel was thrown into the lion's den, fear said death. Faith said deliverance. And the same God who worked for them works for you. You face moments that made your heart race and your knees tremble. You've worried about tomorrow, your future, your family, your provision. But every time fear whispers, what if it doesn't work out? Let faith answer. Even if it doesn't, God is still good. Because faith isn't just believing for miracles. It's trusting me even when you don't see them. Faith says, I don't know how, but I know who. When fear tells you to retreat, faith tells you to rise. When fear says you're not enough, faith says, Christ in me is enough. When fear says it's over, faith says, it's just beginning. My child, you will never be fearless. Even my greatest warriors, Moses, Joshua, Elijah, they all felt fear. But they didn't let fear lead them. They let faith lead them. When I said to Joshua, be strong and courageous, it wasn't because he felt strong. It was because I was with him. And the same promise stands for you. Do not be afraid, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Joshua 1 verse 9. You may not feel ready. You may not see the path clearly. But you don't have to, because faith is not about knowing the destination. It's about trusting the one who leads. So today, take a breath and release your fear. Release the need to control every outcome. Release the pressure to have it all figured out. Let faith rise. Let my peace fill your spirit. Let my voice silence the noise of anxiety. I didn't bring you this far to abandon you now. Every battle you faced, every storm you've endured, it was preparing you for this moment. And now, I am calling you to walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5 verse 7. My child, lift your eyes. The storm is not stronger than your Savior. The mountain is not bigger than your God. The valley is not darker than my light. You may not see how it will all work out, but I do. I hold your future in my hands. And if I hold the stars in place, surely I can hold you too. So when fear knocks on your door, let faith answer. When worry whispers, let worship rise. And when doubt says you can't, remind it, my God can. Faith doesn't remove every challenge, but it turns every challenge into testimony. Because when you walk by faith, every trial becomes a story of victory. And one day you'll look back and say, I was afraid, but God showed up. So stand firm, my beloved. Do not be moved by what you see. Do not be shaken by what you feel. For I am with you, always. And in my presence, fear has no power. Bible verse reminder. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. My child, I see the loneliness you try to hide behind your smile. I see the moments when the laughter fades and silence fills the room. You wonder if anyone truly understands what's happening inside your heart. The weight you carry, the quiet ache you can't put into words. You whisper in the darkness, does anyone even notice me? Does anyone care? And I whisper back, I do. Even when the world turns away, even when friends forget, even when people you trusted walk out, I remain. You are never alone, not for a moment. You may not feel my presence, but feelings were never the measure of my faithfulness. I am not just near when you sense me. I am near always. When you wake in the middle of the night and your mind won't rest, I'm there. When you sit in silence and wonder what's next, I'm there. When tears fall quietly and no one notices, I count each one. Psalm 56 verse 8. You don't have to call out for me to find you. I already know where you are. Before you speak, I know the words. Before you move, I know your steps. Before you cry, I've already prepared comfort. Do you remember when my son Jesus stood outside the tomb of Lazarus? The people wept, believing it was over. But Jesus wept with them, not because he was powerless, but because he was present. That's who I am, the God who feels with you. I don't just see your pain from afar. I step into it with you. When your heart breaks, mine does too. You are never abandoned, even when you feel forgotten. I have promised, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Deuteronomy 31 verse 6. Those are not just words, they are eternal truth. They stand when everything else falls. Sometimes I allow seasons of solitude not to punish you, but to draw you closer to me, because when the noise fades and the crowd disappears, that's when you can finally hear my whisper. In your loneliness, I'm not distant, I'm inviting. I'm calling you deeper, to know me not as a religion, but as a relationship. You say, God, why do I feel so alone? And I say, because I want to show you that my presence is enough. If everyone else leaves, but you still have me, you have more than enough. Do you remember Elijah? He stood on Mount Carmel and watched fire fall from heaven, a moment of great victory. But later, he ran into the wilderness, afraid and utterly alone. He sat beneath a tree and said, Lord, I've had enough. But I sent an angel to feed him. I spoke to him, not through the earthquake, not through the fire, but through a gentle whisper. 1 Kings 19 verses 11 to 12. That whisper is my way of saying, you're not alone, even here. You may feel forgotten, but heaven is closer than you think. When the world goes silent, my spirit speaks softly. I'm still with you. I always have been. My child, loneliness doesn't mean absence. It often means awareness. I am teaching you that my presence is not always loud. Sometimes it's still, sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's felt in peace that doesn't make sense. When your heart feels empty, I am filling it. When your hands feel weak, I am strengthening them. When your faith feels small, I am holding it steady. You may not see me with your eyes, but you can find me in moments, in the sunrise that warms your skin, in the wind that brushes against your face, in the kindness of a stranger, in the verse that suddenly speaks to your situation, in the song that feels like it was written for you. Those are not coincidences, my child. Those are reminders that I am near. You've told yourself, I have no one. But if you could see the unseen, you'd realize you are surrounded. My angels guard you. Psalm 91, verse 11. My spirit dwells within you. John 14, verse 17. And I, the creator of the universe, walk beside you. You are never walking through the fire alone. You are never standing in the valley alone. You are never sitting in the dark alone. Remember Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? They were thrown into fiery furnace. Yet the king said, I see 4 men walking, and the 4th looks like the Son of God. Daniel 3, verse 25. I didn't stop the fire. I stepped into it with them. And I'm stepping into yours, too. So when loneliness whispers, no one cares, let faith respond, God is here. When your heart says, I can't do this alone, let my voice remind you, you were never meant to. You are not abandoned. You are accompanied. Not sometimes, always. My spirit lives within you. That means even when no one answers your call, I hear you. Even when no one understands your pain, I feel it. Even when no one sees your worth, I know it. Because I created it. Sometimes, I allow emptiness to make space for encounter. I let the world go quiet so you can finally hear my song of love over you. Zephaniah 3, verse 17. I remove temporary people, so you'll depend on eternal presence. You think you've been left behind, but you've been set apart. You think you're isolated, but you're being invited into intimacy with me. You think it's over, but it's just the beginning of something sacred. My child, when you walk through lonely roads, remember, Jesus knows loneliness too. He was betrayed by a friend, denied by his disciple, abandoned by those he loved most. He hung on the cross and cried, My God, why have you forsaken me? But even then, the Father was near. And because he endured that loneliness, you never have to face yours alone. The cross is proof that my love will meet you even in isolation. The empty tomb is proof that loneliness doesn't last forever. So, my beloved, lift your head. You are not invisible to me. You are not forgotten in the crowd. You are not abandoned in your waiting. I am closer than your breath, nearer than your heartbeat. And when no one else understands, I do, perfectly, completely, eternally. You are never truly alone, because I, the great I am always with you. From your first breath to your last, from your first tear to your final sigh, I will be there. Bible verse reminder. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. My child, when the world around you feels uncertain, when storms rise higher than your courage, and when every step forward feels like walking through shadows, remember this. Faith was never meant to be easy. It was meant to be powerful. Faith is not about understanding every detail of what I'm doing. It's about trusting me when you don't. When life doesn't make sense, when the doors remain closed and the answers you pray for seem to fade into silence, that's when your faith is being refined, purified, and strengthened. I know, my child, you've had moments when you whispered, "Lord, why me? Why now? Why this?" You've prayed, you've wept, you've waited, you've stood before mountains that refused to move. But in those very moments, when you felt most abandoned, I was closer than your breath. Faith grows not in comfort, but in challenge. It's in the waiting that your roots go deep. It's in the testing that your spirit becomes unbreakable. Look back at every valley you've walked through, the pain, the disappointments, the nights of questioning. And yet, here you are, still standing, still believing, still hoping. That's not weakness, my child. That's faith. When Peter stepped out of the boat to walk on water toward Jesus, he didn't wait for the waves to calm down first. He walked in faith while the storm was still raging. That's the kind of faith I'm calling you to. Not a faith that waits for peace, but a faith that creates peace in the middle of chaos. There will be seasons when your prayers seem unanswered, but faith whispers, "Even now, God is working." There will be days when you don't feel my presence, but faith reminds you, even when I can't see him, he's here. You see, my child, faith doesn't remove the fire. It carries you through it. Just as I was with Daniel in the lion's den, with Moses at the Red Sea, and with David facing Goliath, I am with you. The same God who parted seas and raised the dead is the same God holding you right now. Your faith is not fragile. It's divine. It's the bridge between what you see and what I promised. Every time you choose to believe when doubt screams louder, heaven notices. Angels take record, and your story becomes a testimony of my glory. I know you're tired sometimes. I know you want to see results, not just keep believing. But listen, faith is not just for miracles, it's for the waiting in between. Faith is what keeps your heart steady when everything else trembles. My word says in Hebrews 11, verse 1, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." That means when you believe, you are holding something real. Even if you can't touch it yet, your faith creates the future before it's visible. It's like planting a seed underground. You may not see it growing, but deep beneath the soil, life is breaking through. So do not give up, my child. Keep believing. Keep praying, even when the answer seems delayed. Keep worshiping, even when you don't feel like it. Keep loving, even when your heart feels weary. Every act of faith builds something eternal. Every prayer you've whispered has been heard. Every tear you cried has been counted. I am not blind to your struggle. I am preparing something so beautiful, so complete, that when it unfolds, you'll say, "Now I understand why I had to wait." My timing is not your timing, but my timing is perfect. When I say wait, I'm not denying you, I'm developing you. When I say trust me, I'm not ignoring your pain, I'm deepening your faith. When I say be still, I'm not holding you back. I'm setting the stage for something greater. You may feel like your faith is small, but remember, even a mustard seed of faith can move mountains. You don't need perfect faith. You just need persistent faith. Because when you take one step toward me in faith, I take 1,000 toward you in love. Don't let fear speak louder than my promises. Don't let disappointment steal your hope. Don't let the enemy convince you that your story is over. Your faith is a weapon, not a weakness. Your worship is warfare, not routine. And your trust in me is the key that unlocks impossible doors. Remember what I said in Matthew 17, verse 20. If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, "Move," and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. Yes, my child, nothing. Not your past, not your mistakes, not your current storm. Nothing can stand against a heart that believes. So when the enemy whispers, "You can't handle this," you answer, "I'm not handling it. God is." When fear says, "You're alone," you declare, "My God walks with me." When doubt says, "It's over," you proclaim, "My faith says it's just beginning. I am the God of the impossible. I don't need perfect circumstances. I create them. I don't need a clear path. I make one. I don't need strength from you. I give it to you. So stand firm, my child. Lift your eyes. Your faith is not in vain. The promise I made will come to pass, not because of your strength, but because of my faithfulness. You are walking through a chapter that will one day be your testimony. And when that day comes, you'll look back and say, "It was my faith that carried me when nothing else could." Keep the faith, my child, because in faith, the impossible becomes inevitable. My child, the moment you choose to believe, even when everything inside you screams impossible, heaven begins to move on your behalf. The walls that once stood tall begin to shake. The doors that seemed sealed forever begin to unlock. What you thought was the end becomes the beginning of a miracle only I could design. You see, my child, what you call impossible, I call opportunity. What looks like an ending in your eyes is only the middle in mine. I am the God who turns graves into gardens, who breathes life into the lifeless, and who makes a way where there was no way. Do you remember Abraham? When I told him he would have a son in his old age, everything around him said impossible. His body was weak, and Sarah's womb was barren. Yet he believed, not because the situation made sense, but because I said it would happen. And because he trusted my promise over his reality, the impossible became possible. Faith doesn't deny the facts, my child. It just refuses to let the facts have the final say. You may look at your circumstances and see nothing but limitations, but I see potential. You see a dead end, I see resurrection. You see failure, I see the foundation of your future. When you walk by faith, you don't walk by what you see. You walk by what I've spoken. My word is not a wish. It's a guarantee written in eternal ink. If I said I will make a way, I will. If I said you will overcome, you will. If I said I will bless you, then even hell itself cannot stop that blessing. The impossible is where I reveal my glory the most. When doctors say there's no cure, when finances crumble, when relationships fall apart, and when strength runs out, that's where I step in. I don't show up when you can still fix it yourself. I come when your hands are empty, your heart is weary, and your only hope is me. That's where miracles are born. Do you think David believed he could defeat Goliath with his own strength? No, but he knew that when my power stands behind a willing heart, giants fall. Do you think Moses felt confident when he stood before the Red Sea with Pharaoh's army behind him? No, but when he lifted the staff in obedience, I split the waters in two. Do you think the disciples understood what I was doing when I said, "Lazarus, come forth"? No, but when they witnessed the dead rise, they understood that with me, death itself bows down. My child, you are standing on the edge of something miraculous. The impossible situation you're facing is not meant to destroy you. It's meant to display my power through you. You've prayed. You've cried. You've waited. Now trust me enough to believe that I can do exceedingly, abundantly above all that you ask or imagine. Ephesians 3 verse 20. Sometimes I let the situation look hopeless, so you'll know it was never your strength that made it happen. It was my hand. Because when I move, there's no doubt who deserves the glory. You may think your story is over, but I'm still writing it. The chapter you're in is not a conclusion. It's construction. I'm building something in you, preparing you for what's next. The delay is not a denial. The silence is not absence. The waiting is not wasted. Every second of your struggle has purpose. Every unanswered prayer has timing. Every closed door has redirection. I am aligning everything, the right people, the right opportunities, the right timing, so that when your breakthrough comes, it won't just bless you, it will inspire others to believe again. So hold on, my child. You are closer to the miracle than you think. I know it's hard to keep believing when you can't see movement, but faith is not about seeing. It's about knowing that I am faithful, knowing that I never fail, knowing that I am still in control when everything feels out of control. Do not measure my power by your past disappointments. Do not doubt my ability because of how long it's taking. Do not think that I've forgotten you. I never forget my children. Remember, when the Israelites stood before the Red Sea, it seemed like their story was over. But I told Moses, lift your staff. One act of obedience changed the course of history. One step of faith made the impossible possible. And I say to you now, lift your faith again. Speak life over what seems dead. Praise me before the miracle. Trust me before you see the answer. Because when you do, heaven responds. Your faith activates what your fear tries to cancel. When you choose to believe in the middle of uncertainty, you give me permission to do what no man can do. I am the God who turned water into wine, who calmed storms with a word, who healed the sick, who raised the dead, and that same power still lives today. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are chosen for a purpose greater than your pain. Every trial you faced has prepared you for this moment. Every loss, every tear, every delay, they've all built a strength within you that cannot be shaken. And soon you will look back and say, it was hard, but it was holy. It broke me, but it built me. It felt impossible, but God made it happen. You may not know how or when, but the breakthrough is coming. The healing is coming. The restoration is coming. The peace that passes understanding, it's already on its way. My child, I am not just the God of yesterday's miracles. I am the God of today's breakthroughs. The God who still opens doors. The God who still speaks life. The God who still moves mountains. So lift your eyes from what's breaking and fix them on the one who is building. Lift your heart from fear and rest in faith, because soon you will see the promise fulfilled. And when it happens, when what you thought was impossible suddenly becomes a reality, you will know it wasn't luck, it wasn't coincidence, it wasn't timing. It was me, your Father, the one who handles the impossible, the one who never fails, the one who has been by your side all along. Keep believing, my child. The impossible is only the beginning of what I can do. My child, always remember, no matter how impossible life may seem, God is with you. He never leaves, he never fails, and his plans for you are greater than anything you can imagine. So keep walking by faith, keep trusting his timing, and keep believing in the impossible. If this message touched your heart today, stay connected with Faith Vibes. We share God's promises, his blessings, and daily encouragement to strengthen your spirit. Remember, my child, miracles are not just stories from the past. They are happening today, and God's hand is on your life. Stay faithful, stay blessed, and keep letting God handle the impossible.